September, Monday. So today was the first day back from summer, and I gotta say, it was pretty boring since Raleigh got grounded for the whole summer. I've had nobody to hang out with now. All I could think about was the middle school reopening, and after last year's fiasco, I'm surprised they pulled it off at all. I even heard there were a few accidents renovating part of the C Wing, but school should reopen tomorrow anyways. I just hope the day goes well tomorrow. Tuesday, as expected, the day went as well as you would think. I got pushed around during the day. I guess not everyone was happy about me being the cause of the school's reopening and them being forced back here, especially since most of them liked the old schools they had. Thanks a lot, jerk. The other school I was transferred to actually served food for cafeteria, not the slop they have here. However, it didn't go as badly as expected, as one of my main bullies, Chucky, disappeared a few days ago while trying to break into the school. People are saying that he wanted to get a look at the construction, and after that, he was never seen again. I think it's a lot of baloney, but several people have all gone missing since. Raleigh was pretty shaken up by this, but I was able to calm him down after a while. He thinks that he's going to be taken one day too, and that he'll never see his parents again, but I comforted him and talked him down. It'll be fine, Raleigh, relax, nobody's getting hurt. Those kids probably just skipped school. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for telling me that, Greg. Though a lot of us think this is just one big coincidence, a lot of others believe that this is something serious, and that we should be taking action to protect ourselves. A few of the other guys even suggested a plan to find out who is doing this, and I heard it involved some mayonnaise and bells, so I don't buy it. There are even a few rumors about who's making people disappear, and some of them even seem pretty believable, to be honest. Albert Sandy even started a rumor that the cause of the disappearance were vampires. I don't know where he got that from, but a few people actually started believing him. For a while after, people were talking about how vampires like to live in dark corners, and that they drink people's blood and convert them. I don't know what to say about that, but I'm probably gonna lay low for a while, just in case something is really wrong. Even though I think this is all one big coincidence, I don't want to take any chances, just in case. Friday. It happened. Bryce Anderson has gone missing yesterday. And now, everybody's starting to freak out. Even though Bryce was the biggest jock in our grade, he was taken and nobody has any idea on why. There were girls crying in every one of my classes, and some even built shrines to him. But they already built shrines to him before this happened, so nothing new. Attention students! We regret to inform you the student Bryce Anderson has gone missing. Please report any sightings to administration as soon as possible. No, not Bryce! Why do you have to be him? Ever since the incident about Bryce, Raleigh has been getting worse. I've even heard that his parents want to pull him off from school. And I wish that it could be me right now. Since then, we've been discussing what to do if that thing decides to come for us. We came up with a few plans to trap it, if it really is a thing inside a box, but I don't think he understands why that wouldn't work. From what I heard, Bryce went to the town gym and nobody saw him leave. Albert Sandy was telling people that somebody could have murdered Bryce in the shower room and hid the body, but I don't think that's going anywhere right now. Oh, and the school announced a vigil for Bryce on the weekend in hopes for his safe return. But the thing that makes me mad about this is that the school never did any of this for other people who disappeared weeks previously. They only did this to make the school look good. Raleigh said to me that he's going to pay his respects to Bryce, but I'm not sure myself. It isn't fair for the other students. How come only Bryce is being honored? Monday. Well, after calming myself down, I decided to go to a town vigil last night. The church that my family goes to decided to run it for the town, so Mom used her veto powers to force us all to go. When we arrived, it was much quieter than I expected. A lot of the kids that I would expected to be there weren't, and I didn't want to think of why. Yeah, as it turns out, I was actually wrong about the school only doing it for Bryce. Along with him, there were several other memorials for other students that disappeared. Even the teacher, Miss Lakey, had disappeared between periods, and it just made me sad. I never really liked Bryce that much, but what I said was unfair. Later on, the police chief made a speech in front of all of us. He said he'd find out who was responsible for the disappearances and that the culprits would be brought to justice. Just as I was preparing to leave, Holly Hills greeted me. Wait. Your name is Greg Heffley, right? Apparently she remembered my name after all. I said hello and we talked for a few minutes. She explained that she'd gotten scared after Bryce had disappeared and the rest of her friends had heard rumors of people disappearing while inside of their homes. And even somebody disappearing while inside a bathroom. After this quick chat, she said we could talk some other time if I wanted to, and then quickly left. I don't know what this situation is becoming, but it's not just a school anymore. And I'm actually starting to get worried. And even Mom is already getting worried about what's happening to Plainview. She explained to me that she was actually thinking of taking me out of school until this whole situation blows over. You see, Greg, I just think it's not safe anymore here. After hearing stories like these, I don't want to lose you too. I explained to her that school was the only time I got to see other people, and it would be fine for me to remain for a while longer. Roderick is already thinking of using this chaos to convince Mom to let him leave town for a while, and with the way things are going now, I don't blame her for saying yes, but I'll see how things go from here. First day, the last few days have been rough. The school has settled into a new normal since last weekend's vigil, but none of the missing people have been returned or heard from for that matter. And the local news says about 3% of the entire town is now missing, and it just doesn't feel the same anymore. It's as if a new atmosphere has come down on us. Surprisingly, any news outside of our local news seems to not have picked up on our story, as no major outlets are talking about us. Is Plainview really that small of a town? When classes have become smaller since that night, and lots of fears are running rampant in the school. The tone has turned from vampires to some kind of organized gang targeting our town. I thought about it for a second and quickly realized how ridiculous that was. Also, me and Holly also talked again. Apparently her uncle had disappeared 2 days ago and nobody knows how that could have happened. And then he just disappeared without a trace. And we didn't hear any noise for a while. When we opened the door, he was gone. It looks like a lot of parents are threatening to pull their kids from school until something is done about disappearances, including Holly's parents. When I ever get the guts to start something with her, but it may already be too late for me. But even worse than that, Rowley has gotten bad since the night of vigil. I guess the sight of seeing so many people grieve was too much for him, and his parents have decided to pull him from school, sadly. Sorry, Greg. Since I'm an only child, this has been hard on Mom and Dad. They don't want to take any chances with me. Every day in my geography class, I have to look at Christopher Ziegel's empty desk, and it reminds me what's happening. Everyone moves around like zombies, including some of the teachers, waiting to see what will happen next. Just trying to move on with their lives while pretending not to see the empty desks. Roderick is already packing to leave, and I don't blame him. Sometimes I think that he's not actually concerned, and just using this to get out of the house for a while. He called his bandmates and told them to get ready to leave, and I think they're gonna be gone for a while. But despite the situation, Dad seems disconnected from this, as if it's not happening at all. When we turn on the news or read a paper, he doesn't seem to care much about it, or seem concerned about it. In other news, more people have gone missing. 5% of Plainview has now disappeared with no trace. Oh shoot, that doesn't look good. I'm thinking that Dad may be in on what's going on around town, but to be fair, he's never felt anything before, so it makes sense. But still though, I'll have to keep an eye on him. Even Manny, since he came back from preschool, has been acting strangely. At our dinner table, he never talks as much as he used to, and never even calls me a ploopy anymore, which is really weird. At night I can hear him moving around his room, talking to himself in a way I can't really understand right now. I've been looking at some of his drawings too, and they've been disturbing to say the least. Every day now it seems like the mayor is going to call an emergency, but it just never comes. It feels like I'm walking through insanity, but it just never gets to me. When I log onto the internet late at night, I see the profiles of people that have disappeared. Other than a sudden stop of updates, nobody seems to notice and nobody checks on them. Just as if it's part of our daily life now. Nobody on the outside notices us anymore. No other news stations even notice us. Meanwhile, ours is broadcasting relentless panic. It seems like ever since I asked Mom if I could stay in school, she's been getting worse. Just like Raleigh had. Mom seems constantly worried about me and Roderick, but I just want to ride it out just another week or two. Just to see what's going to happen next. And I haven't heard from Shirag in a few days, so I'll need to check on that tomorrow. Good night. Monday, so today was another day of school, and it seems that there were even fewer people than there were last week. I guess a lot of kids disappeared over the weekend. Anyways, I asked around, and it turns out that nobody had seen Shirag either. As I said in my last entry, I looked for Shirag online, and it looks like he had dropped off the face of the earth. I think he was taken too by whatever this thing is. Surprisingly, nobody bullied me today for bringing back to school. I guess things are becoming hard for everyone. Needless to say, I don't think that this is all coincidence anymore. Now that I think of it, I haven't seen Raleigh for a few days. He didn't come online over the weekend, and I really hope it doesn't mean what I think it means. Also today, Roderick talked to me for a while about what's happening around town. Greg, we need to talk about what's happening right now in the town. Roderick told me things I never heard on the news before. He said that people were not disappearing by some kind of gang or serial killer, but by what he described as an unnatural compelling force. I didn't know what that meant, so I pressed him further. He told me that during those phone calls with his clanmates, they were talking about plans to leave town. Roderick said that it was during one of those discussions that they realized that this could be the work of a single person or even the work of an entire criminal underground. The police, or what's left of the police, would have at least found a clue or direction by now. Eventually, they concluded that there was no real way to fight whatever was happening, and their best option was to run away and regroup. If any external news was unaffected by whatever was happening here, then they were thinking that they could run to the next town a few towns over and regroup. He said that he was already packing to leave and asked if I wanted to come with him. He said that once he was gone, he was never looking back until this whole situation was over. Which way things are going is unlikely. Roderick told me that there was room in his van for me and that I could come along with him if I wanted to. That was something I was not expecting to hear from him. And I thought about it for a second and told him I didn't think it was worth leaving everything behind. And I didn't want to run away. I'm sorry, Roderick, but I can't run away from Plainview. I don't want to leave my copy of Twisted Wizard behind. Roderick said I was fine and that he didn't want to force me to do anything that I didn't feel like doing. He told me to stay awake and to not become subservient to whatever would come after. Before we left, he asked one more time if I wanted to go with him. I said I couldn't, and he got a resigned look in his eyes before driving off. Goodbye, Greg. Just promise me you'll stay safe, okay? After he left for good, I almost regretted my decision. While I don't want to leave my old life behind and go with him for who knows how long, I'm also worried about what would become of us. If things keep on getting worse, I don't know what I'll do. Also, since Roderick's leave, Mom seems to be a lot more quieter than she usually is. She still does the daily tasks, cleaning, cooking, writing for a newspaper column, but it just seems like the spark of her soul has left. Even the newspaper is reporting on it now, which is usually just funny pages and sports sections. The Daily Herald News. Crowds of people disappearing daily. Plainview in a panic. It has been reported that a large portion of our population has disappeared without trace over the last several weeks. The Plainview Police Department are left dumbfounded as they try to uncover what the true nature of these disappearances have. Here's a quote from one of the officers. Though it seems unlikely, we have not ruled out gang activity and are taking the appropriate steps to finding these criminals. I don't think the police are doing what they should be doing. If what Roderick is saying is true, then I have to assume the police are useless and even in on it at worst. But what do I know? I'm just a middle schooler. Manny seems to not care much about what's going on right now, like Dad. But sometimes I don't really know what's going on with that kid. November, Thursday. Snow is really starting to fall this week. I guess we really are getting closer to winter. If people weren't disappearing, I think we would all be celebrating right now. Every day I go to school, more and more people are missing from my classes. Things just don't feel the same anymore. Ever since the snow started, we've been getting snow days from school. At least I won't be able to see destruction firsthand. Everyone's getting paranoid of becoming the next victim. We're collectively calling this the Great Taking. The police say they're investigating the disappearances as if they were murders, which I guess they are, and they haven't found a single clue. We ask all Plainview citizens to remain calm. All the departments are investigating. The Plainview murders will be solved. We assure you, please stay calm. As police investigate, several of their own officers have gone missing during the investigation. They say that the only commonality between the cases is sudden disappearance with no warning, leaving no trace of the victim behind, no struggle, no sound. Nobody notices when they disappear. They say the hardest part is that they have no witnesses that actually see the crime actually happen, so they don't know what to look for, and even they're starting to get scared. There's even talk of sending in the military, but I don't think anything new will come of that. I also talked to Holly again today, and she unfortunately told me exactly what I expected to hear from her. What's happening in your family is what's happening to mine. Everyone's scared, shutting themselves away from everyone else in fear. Man, if this is a common thing now, then I know the entire town is going to hell. I quickly thought of all the people that may have even this faint idea on what's happening, and it struck me. Alex Aruda. Alex was the smartest kid in my grade, and if anyone knew what was going on, it was him. I was able to track Alex down during our free period, and as usual, he was studying in his homeroom. I came up to him and asked him what was going on. I guess a few people noticed me too, because soon there was a small crowd, and after exchanging greetings, he spoke to us. I think what's happening here is no accident. Clearly this is not the work of a gang or even a large organization. I think there is something else going on, bigger than any one group could achieve in such a short amount of time. I think that shook us all. We were expecting some kind of criminal underworld or even a virus outbreak, but what he was saying was beyond anything we had expected. He went on. Alex explained what we were seeing could be the case of a government's weapons test, or some kind of conspiracy that went all the way up to some higher-ups in the government. He explained that only somebody with the resources of an entire nation and the power of one could cover up the news of this. Alex said if he was right, the reason our town was selected was that we would be too small for anybody to ever miss. This really freaked us all out, and we decided we had heard enough. I think that after all that, we were all pretty paranoid, well, more paranoid than before. Also, ever since getting back from a vigil a few weeks ago, I haven't seen Rowley around, and I think that he went missing. I've tried to text him over the phone, but I've gotten no response. I don't know how I'll get through this without him. When I came home from school today, I think I even heard Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson crying through an open window. The snow is really starting to come down now, and I hope it means I can get to stay away from school a while longer. If this really is some government weapons test or some gang taking people when nobody's looking, this snow cover will really help them out. I just hope it can keep me and my family safe if they ever decide to come for us. Wednesday, I think Mom disappeared. I never expected this to ever happen. I really can't believe it. I started this morning and Mom and Dad have started arguing about the newspaper and what they should do next. Well, today was pretty heated compared to most. After yelling up an absolute storm for about 15 minutes, Mom stormed upstairs to her room and slammed the door in Dad's face. Dad simply got a rage-filled blank expression and headed downstairs for breakfast after. And for a while, I thought I could hear crying through the wall, but I couldn't be too sure. After a while, I think Dad came back to his senses and headed back upstairs, and after knocking and waiting for a few minutes, he opened the door and found the room empty. After about 5 minutes of looking at every corner of the room, calling for Mom, I think he finally broke. He just got a glazed over look in his eye, and told me to call the police right away. I didn't ask questions and I called him immediately. Several minutes later, a squad car showed up at our door. The officer introduced himself as Sergeant Timothy. After exchanging names, Dad led Timothy into Mom's room and explained the situation to him. When I opened the door, I... Calm down, sir. I need to hear the full story. Restart at the beginning. Okay, sorry. When I opened the door to try to talk to her after the big fight we had, she was just gone. As if she was never here. Once the two were done talking, Timothy walked around the room and did what I thought was some investigating. Then he turned to Dad and explained what was happening. Officer Timothy explained that when people disappeared, it was always a single person while being unobserved. He explained that it always went the same way, regardless of who the person was or what they were doing. The only two things in common were that they were alone and that no traces were left behind. It was as if they left the room like nothing happened, and then, poof, they're gone. After a brief talk, the officer explained that the station was overflowing with missing persons cases, and that there was literally nothing he could do. Even after Dad begged him to do something, anything, in the end, there was nothing to be done. Then, unceremoniously, he left us alone. Dad got real quiet after that, sitting down on the couch for a while, without saying anything for a long while. It seemed like our collective world was peeling apart, one family member at a time, and there was nothing either of us could do about it. After thinking for a while, Dad gathered me and Manny into the living room and talked to us. He explained that Manny was in my hands now, and I should be looking after my brother from now on. I asked him why he couldn't look after Manny since he was older. He explained that he was too old to look after Manny by himself and that I should be focusing on him. That sounded really stupid, but I didn't argue it with him. He simply gave me a pat on the back and went back to the couch, probably to watch more sports, but I didn't really care. After Dad was gone, I looked at Manny and asked if he wanted a drink. But I swear, as soon as I said that, it seemed like Manny's expression changed to that of a pure, primal rage towards me. Though it seemed innocent, something inside me was terrified by it. I just gave him a look and then walked up to my room. As I'm writing this, I can hear Manny talking to himself in the next room over. I guess I'm the one who's looking after him now. I hope for my sake and his own that he's just talking to himself in there. Thursday. I feel like I'm going insane. Everybody's so quiet, keeping to themselves. I think the paranoia is starting to reach a fever pitch. Pretty soon somebody's gonna break and then it may start a huge domino effect. It doesn't matter who you are, you know somebody who disappeared. Today at school, I met with Holly again. It went much like the other times, musing about how much we miss our old life and wishing that I would go back. When I finally brought up Mom, I felt like I was about to cry. Then something unexpected happened. Holly hugged me. The moment we made contact, a billion thoughts flooded my mind. All I could think of in that moment was her, as if we were the entire world. And when we broke arms, I came back to my senses. I then noticed that everybody was staring at us. Me and Holly said our goodbyes quickly and parted ways for the time being. A couple hours later, during lunch, we were what everyone was talking about in the school lunch hall. I guess that along with gossip, it was just something to get the situation off our minds. For the rest of the day, I couldn't concentrate in class. All I could think about was the moment I got to hug Holly Hills when I truly felt free. When I came home from school, Dad was sitting on the couch, reading the local newspaper. However, one thing was out of the ordinary with him. He seemed slightly concerned, and not wanting to sim off any further, I went over to the family room TV and switched it on. Yeah, that's what the mayor's office says. 7%. This is insane. That's 7% of the population. That many people? How is that even possible? Why aren't they doing anything about it? Apparently, now 7% of Plainview is just gone. Though, it defies all possibilities, our population is shrinking more and more each day. They even say the process is beginning to accelerate daily, so more and more people are disappearing. There are more and more people fleeing to Slacksville, but they've stopped accepting people. And there are even rumors that people who try to escape Plainview are unable to leave because of some kind of natural barrier that just appeared. The news then said that the mayor had called in the military to clear up this whole situation and to find out once and for all what's even happening now. And the police have all but given up, and more crime is happening daily. The sheriff's office is reporting as much as a dozen break-ins a day. It feels like I'm on a sinking ship as we spiral closer and closer to the center of a whirlpool. Or maybe I'm just insane already, not seeing what's really happening. I decided to just take a nap for a while, to forget about the events of today. After a numberal amount of time, I was suddenly woken by Dad yelling, "Hop, hop, hop, let's go, Manny's hungry for dinner, come on, make him dinner." I guess it was time to have dinner, and since he was too lazy to do it, the job fell to me. And since I never actually cooked dinner before, it didn't turn out so well. Eventually, I conceded and gave him junk to last the night. "Congratulations, Bubby. You've earned some respect." Once I handed Manny his food, I decided to just sit next to him and watch his kids' programming. It was dull, but it kept my mind occupied. And after a while, I noticed that Manny wasn't entirely focused on a TV program, as I expected. Instead, he was looking at the front window, onto the street. I couldn't quite make out what was there, but it just seemed wrong. If you could understand that. Not that there was anything amiss or anything specifically standing out, it just seemed off to me. Like walking into an old building you used to visit and remembering almost forgotten things. I quickly averted my eyes from this and continued focusing on the television. I don't want to remember anymore. As I write this, I can hear crying from the next room over. It sounds quiet, as if Dad is trying to keep it in, but Mom is gone and Roderick might be dead or he might have gone out towards one of the other towns, but I don't know, and neither is Dad. I can also hear something from next door, where the Jeffersons live. I think they're going through the same as everyone else in Plainview. If something doesn't change soon, I think I'm gonna lose it. Everyone is hurting and I can't take it much longer. What's happening should be impossible. I don't understand it at all. Maybe I really am just starting to lose my mind, or maybe that happened a long time ago. I don't know anymore. Tuesday. School hasn't gotten any better recently. Since the school week started, barely anything has been done in school. And yesterday, Vice Principal Roy actually called an assembly. "All students and faculty, please report to the gym immediately." For the first time since I remember, he called it for both students and faculty, which was a first to be sure. He said this was really important, so I went. When we all got there, the assembly was hosted by Mr. Roy and the new police chief. Well, ever since the old one disappeared some weeks ago, a new one has been sworn in. As soon as everybody arrived, it started. The police officer introduced himself as Police Chief Graham. He explained that the military would soon arrive within 2 to 3 days, and that he expected our full cooperation during their stay. On the surface, it seemed like they wanted to organize with the military and uncover the cause of what's happening, but I had my suspicions. From what I heard around the lunchroom and on the news, people were hesitant to allow the military to take over, and from what they had seen during other military occupations, things had not gone well, to say the least. I just hoped that, regardless of the outcome, they would just do their job and protect us. When we all filed out of the gymnasium and head back to our classes, I thought about a possible escape plan, but after thinking about it for a while, I remembered what the news said. "How many have tried to leave already?" "At least 300 in the past week. I don't know what's there, but it can't be done." From what they're saying on there, a barrier whether natural or unnatural, has appeared around Plainview, mostly around the major access roads, forcing people to remain here. And from what they say, it only appeared recently, when the disappearances were finally linked. Man, I really hope Roderick got out when he had a chance. At this point, there's so much noise I can hardly concentrate at school. On the little work we actually are doing, every hour now, I can hear crying in the next classroom over, only to be ushered out of a room. I tried to find Alex Aruda after assembly, to ask him what he thinks about the military occupation. When I arrived in his classroom, though, I found his seat empty. And now that I thought about it, I hadn't seen Alex around the school recently at all. Maybe he had figured out a way out and escaped. Or maybe he's disappeared. I really didn't know, and to be honest, I didn't want to think about it right now. The days are getting much faster now. Get up, feed Manny, go to school, come home from school, lay around, and go to bed. It all feels like a blur to me now. And ever since that night watching TV with Manny, I've had more of those episodes of me looking far away and it not seeming right. Yesterday, when I looked outside, I thought I heard a snowplow going through, but everything now seemed fuzzy, as if there was a tiny bit of electricity running through everything. I'm really starting to get scared now. I don't know if anybody else is seeing what I'm seeing, but nobody's saying anything about it. It's probably just a lack of sleep getting to me, or at least, I hope that's all it is. But today is when it all started, when my real trouble began. I was sitting in my algebra class, or at least what was left of it, when I heard an announcement. Attention all staff and students. This is a lockdown. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Apparently lockdown had been called. None of us really knew what to do since the last time we practiced lockdown procedures was in the 6th grade. Needless to say, all hell broke loose when it was called. Everyone was freaking out, not knowing what to do. Pressure from the last 2 months of disappearances did not stack up well against it, and people were scared. But we didn't need to wait long, as we soon heard distant yelling coming from the hallway, and it didn't sound like a student. We all huddled around the door, trying to get a better listen, when suddenly, we all heard an ear-piercing scream coming from one of the classrooms further up. We all quickly backed from the door and hid at the far wall, hoping to get away from whatever was attacking people. After about 10 minutes of hiding, we finally heard sirens in the distance. I guess the cops were delayed after all the disappearances, but they were finally here now. Let me tell you, they do not take kindly to little stunts like these. Now, I had never actually heard a gunshot before, but they were loud. Before he got shot, he was yelling about all kinds of things. He was saying how it's eating us alive and that we would be trapped forever if we didn't take ourselves first. Well, let's just say that he stopped soon after. For a few minutes, nobody really said anything. Maybe they were focusing on the noise of a SWAT team storming into the building, but we didn't know for sure. When the coast was clear, I decided to head out and look for Holly. I didn't know for sure what her current class was or where she was, but I knew that she would be around here somewhere. After about 5 minutes of walking, I noticed the school had gone awfully quiet, and the voices of people had gone quieter. I realized that, after all this, I hadn't really given myself much free time. I knew that this was not the place for writing time, but I decided that a few extra minutes couldn't hurt much. Once I had sat down for a minute, I got up and kept walking the way I was going. The people's voices had gone much quieter, almost faster than they should have. I looked around and finally remembered my goal: find Holly Hills. I had almost forgotten already. Around me there was a full wall of lockers and a row of empty classes. I guess everyone had already evacuated by now. I turned to go back the way I'd come from
and after walking a little while, I realized something. Is this school bigger than I thought? I'd only walked for a few minutes, but it seemed like the hallways went on for a while. Of course, I could no longer hear the voices of the officers or anyone for that matter. No, it's probably just sleep deprivation. I'll write more later. I don't know how long it's been since I last wrote here, but my best guess is a couple of hours. Ever since I got trapped in here, it's been hard to tell the time. Despite me looking, I can't find any exterior doors or windows I could use to climb out of. Even though I think this is my school, it seems that nobody has came this way for a long time. Almost like it was nearly constructed days ago rather than years. I don't know for sure if this is my school anymore, or even that I'm still in Plainview. It's almost like this place is some sort of pocket dimension place, or so they call it. It constantly feels like I'm going in circles no matter what direction I go. It also seems like wherever I walk, it's only bringing me out further from the center. That's if there is even something like a center. But if there is, maybe you can escape that way. Eventually, I decided against my better judgment to yell to see if I can catch any attention. Hello? Anybody hear me? I reflectively winced in preparation for a hall monitor to come my way, but of course, that never happened. I waited for several minutes, even for a hint of sound or movement out in the building itself, but nothing. Dejected, I decided to sit down. If nobody heard me scream, I would be fine taking a short nap. I was tired anyways. I picked the inside of a classroom which was perfectly clean without a single human touch and shut my eyes. Now, the way I see it, if nobody woke me up while I was sleeping, then I was really in trouble. I'll continue writing this after I wake up. After I woke up from my nap, I felt unusually refreshed. At first I was relieved. The entire week had been one long out-of-body experience, and I was finally back at full strength. But that quickly turned terror as I realized that the only way that could have happened is if I slept for too long and nobody woke me up. I hurriedly took out my phone and hastily read the time. 3:45 a.m. If I had slept for that long and nobody had woken me, or even disturbed me for that matter, then I was really in trouble now. Reality was starting to finally sink to my newly cleared mind, and I was starting to freak out. I yelled, "Who is doing this? Why am I here?" And of course, I got no response other than water running through rusty pipes. At least I had water. I'm no longer writing this journal for my own sake, but to whoever finds this, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or if, by some miracle, I do. I think I'm gonna keep walking forward since there's not much else to do here. I'll update more if I survive the night. Thursday. I've been walking around for a while. I haven't really found anything worth noting down yet, and that's the scary part. Other than the freakish dimensions of this place, everything, for the most part, seems normal to me. But I know for one thing, this place only looks like Plainview Middle School. I figured out that this isn't the same place I know, and I don't have any other answers. I'm pretty sure this is what happens to people who disappear. All I can remember aside from my diary is simply walking around the building, then just transitioning here. Somehow, I never saw anything amiss. There was no transformation, no morphing of the walls. I just sort of walked here. It goes against all logical reasoning, yet here I am. Along with this ever-expanding hallway, there are rows and rows of classrooms going along it. Obviously, just like any other school building. I scourge around inside each room, and it looks like a regular classroom, though untouched by people. Also, the desks are neatly arranged and the chalk still works. If I wasn't trapped in this hell dimension, I would have been fooled into thinking this was a regular classroom. Maybe even a regular school I go to. Well, at least for a while. I have noticed though that where windows should have been have all been replaced by blank walls, which stand out against normal parts of the wall. Knocking on sections of the walls indicates that they're solid just like everything else here. Additionally, some of the object placements seem a bit off, or maybe just rushed. Of course, I did go through my school lunch pretty quickly, along with what little water I had left. I tried the water fountains and they seemed to work as well as any regular water fountain did. Food, on the other hand, is a little more complicated. There are vending machines around the school, just like Plainview did, and still does, but I don't want to risk hurting myself breaking it open. If I can find any other source of food, I'll use it, just on the 1% off chance that I'm just simply losing my mind, and then I'll come to my senses after breaking something. The hallway itself seems to extend outwards forever. No matter how far I go or how fast I run, you know that little voice inside of you? The one that tells you what direction you're going or where things are once you close your eyes? Yeah, that's gone. I can walk 4 corners going the exact same direction and still somehow end up going forwards, as if they were pushing me outward. I think this is what happens to people that disappear, but I can't be absolutely certain. Since from what I've been told these past few months, people disappear after not being observed or by simply never leaving a building. And I think that's what's happened to me. I think that somehow I've been completely erased, and I don't think I'll ever make it out, or like the other cases, a trace of this diary ever making it out. I don't even know why I keep updating this anymore. Since I can't really backtrack, maybe I'll just leave this on one of the desks in the classroom and leave it. In the practically 0 chance that somebody comes the way I did and finds it, if this can even be called a way. Saturday. Things really aren't looking good for me. I know it's been a while since I last updated you, especially with my current situation, but I've been mostly walking, looking for an exit, if there is any. Food has been more difficult. My school lunch has obviously ran out since I got here, and I haven't had any luck with finding a canteen anywhere. So I've since resorted to trying to break into a snack machine, and it worked as I expected. I've found several snack machines selling chips, cookies, and what else. My only concern about food is that it may not sustain me long term. In the worst case scenario, I'm stuck here forever. I've been collecting water from the various water fountains, and they of course work as any would. My phone is still running, but the charge is in a low quarter. I'm desperately trying to limit my use of it. One thing that I've noticed since being here is the rooms are changing. I can't adequately describe what it looks like, but it looks like the environment, or whatever you can call it, is distorting. The longer I walk or run for, the more messy and unnatural the classrooms and hallways seem. Like it's being copied over and over again and beginning to corrupt itself. The best way I can explain it is like tracing a drawing over and over again. Now, this isn't really a concern for me right now, but if I can survive in this place long term, it might become a problem. Right now, some classroom dimensions are all over the place. Walls are shorter or larger than they should be. Doors are bent or too small, etc. And I've noticed that even the floor is getting bumpy. And I can't even go back to where it was better. As well as the walls, the posters are distorting. Not just the posters themselves, but what they say. Since Plainview sold out sponsors to pay bills, a lot of brand posters went up around the school. Well, those copied here as well, and they're getting messy. When I first started walking, I didn't think much of it, but now they're getting hard to look at. I think the problem's worse in distorting halls though. One of my class inspections, which were unfortunately common now, I found a rather large class directly next to a supply closet. The room had stored to the point where it was several times larger than normal, about the size of our gymnasium. Though the supply closet felt normal, but it went back about 20 feet, directly contradicting the classroom space. This is impossible. This is impossible. If things get worse, I could become trapped somewhere, unable to escape, truly encaved. But I have a theory on how I can escape, though. It's a long shot, but it might just work. If this place can only grow by copying things that already exist here, what if I add things that I can then copy? What if I can copy concepts from my journal? Then I can create anything I want here, for any purpose, like a lucid dream. If this somehow works, I'll be damned. It's a real long shot, but I'm relying on any chance to get me out of here. Tuesday! Oh my gosh! So much has happened these past few days, you won't believe it. First of all, I think my escape plan is working. I had a theory about how this place operated, and I think I was correct about it. This place can only copy what's already here, unable to make anything unique. I just added a few concepts in using my journal, and it worked.
Right in front of me, as I write this, is a big red door of exit in large lettering.
And I notice it's unique because, unlike everything else in this area, I can't seem to see any visible distortion. Also, it lacks, as you can say, fine details. It looks way smoother than any other object here, like it's made of finely polished marble or made of glass. Also, just last night, as I was looking for a place to lay down, I found a classroom with a ceiling so high I couldn't even see the top of it. Just 4 horrifying walls going straight up. Also, the distortion has been getting worse over the last few days as well. I can only assume that I've walked at least about 50 miles since getting here. I can't even imagine the size of a real building that large. It seems the level of distortion is going up faster than I expected. However, it's not just distortion anymore too. Whenever I look at a mirror now, I can almost see my reflection lagging slightly. Maybe I'm just hallucinating? I don't really know anymore. Hopefully though, this escape plan will actually work out and I'll be free. But if this keeps up though, I may not be able to survive. Even the laws of nature are distorting here. And if I stay here any longer, this may become a true hell. Oh, and that exit door I found? I opened it and it's just stairs, going up for as far as the eyes can see. I guess I either didn't define exactly where this door would go specifically, or it's going to actually take me outside. The stairs seem to go on forever, just like the classroom. And if these really go anywhere real, I don't know how long it actually may take me. Okay, just now, as I was writing this, something new happened. Throughout all my entries and my mouths, nothing like this happened before. I can hear music? A real old-timey song. It sounds like it's coming from really far away too. If I didn't have a huge door that said exit right now next to me, I might have followed it. Maybe it's just this place messing with me. Make me think I'll actually leave. But either way, I have no other choice but to try the exit door. Also, it doesn't look like there are any vending machines along the staircase, so I'll need to stock up on food. Also, the music? It sounds like it's dozens of miles away. Lit loud enough to be heard. It's almost creeping me out, as if it came up right after I found this door. Either way, I've stocked up on food and water since I found this place. Never going too far from it. I think I'm gonna start climbing now. But as soon as I gave it my first step, the entire place seemed to shake an impenetrable amount, almost like electricity was flowing through everything. Now, everything looks fuzzy, like it was a few weeks ago looking out the window, looking outside and thinking that something wasn't right. Regardless, I hope it's a good sign. See you in my next entry, if I can. I don't know if these stairs will even end at all. Maybe they go on for billions of light years pretending to be an exit, maybe it'll actually take me back and end. If they do, though, how long will I be climbing? Hours? Weeks? I honestly don't know. But if I die while trying to escape, I can only hope that happens quickly. So, goodbye for now.
Thursday. It's been a while, or at least I think it has. The stairs aren't showing any signs of ending, and my excitement has turned since then. Since I didn't want to leave the area when I found that exit door, I wasn't able to get much food before I went, and that supply I have right now is running low. Though, I don't think it's my biggest problem right now. I don't really know why, but the temperature has been changing recently. I guess the school still had working heating, but whatever this place is, doesn't seem to. I have a temperature reading app on my phone, and according to it, the temperature has dropped about 10 degrees since I started. The regular school never changed, no matter how distorted things became.
If this continues on like this, I may need to turn back before I reach the end. If there even is an end. My water is almost out too. I'm trying to ration out, but it's still going too fast. And I don't want to starve myself to death.
Though, I have one far more pressing issue at hand. The music. I think it's getting slightly louder. It's really starting to drive me insane. When I first heard it, I assumed it was some type of oldie song since I couldn't really hear the lyrics. But now, it's gone louder. I can't make out anything I can even recognize.
It sounds to me like some kind of folk song. All I know is that whatever is producing it is getting closer, and I need to get further away. I don't know if it's friend or an enemy, but judging how everyone's disappearing, I don't think it's worth taking that chance.
I haven't even slept in 2 days. I've barely stopped walking since I began. And, like usual, I hope that it's just a hallucination. I'm almost losing hope at this point. But I know that a few hours might make a difference. I might get out. I just need to take a chance. Wait, yes! I think I see a light far up ahead. It's almost like a laser pointer. You can't see it unless pointed directly at you. It has a faint green hue, almost like paint. It looks like to be miles away, but like nothing but air. But I guess I can still see it. If that means it's the exit and my chance to freedom, I'll need to run there before I either freeze or before whatever is producing that noise gets to me. I'll be going now. See you on the other side. Friday. I'm almost at the green light. I just stopped to write one last journal entry before making it out. The green light has always been getting brighter, and I think it's some kind of lantern. However, as I've been getting closer to the end, the temperature's begun to drop a lot faster than it did before. And my phone is also dead now, so I can't even read temperature if I wanted to anyway. If this isn't the exit, I'll probably just freeze to death at the top, and nobody wants that, right? Man, even my sweat is freezing to my body. It's really uncomfortable. And what's worse, the music's also been getting louder. I don't think I'm even hallucinating anymore. It's more like something is getting closer. It's like that feeling when you walk down a dark hallway and can feel something behind you. Except that thing is miles away. And it's very, very real. Now, my only hope of survival is reaching the top of these stairs and finding out there even is a door on the other side. And if I reach the end and I can't even leave, then I'll either freeze to death or face the music. Wait, just now, I heard some rumbling come from the bottom of the stairs. Instead of just music, something is vibrating the ground. It feels like it's deep below, but also right next to me. I think that thing is getting closer, and I don't want to stick around.
I took off running as fast as I could towards the green light. I think that's about a 10-minute sprint. I don't even know if I can make it, but I have to in order to survive. If that thing catches me if I go too slow, I'm dead. But as soon as I started to run away, I got that behind you feeling. Only much stronger than it ever was before. It was as if something was angry at me, and it wanted to find me and kill me. Or worse. And as I got closer to the door, the temperature began to drop a lot. A few minutes in, and the walls were starting to ice over. What's more, the faster I went, the louder the music became. Even the walls were getting moist, as if the place wanted to eat me alive. After about 8 minutes of agonizing running, my hands were shaking. I was completely exhausted and dying from the cold. I was getting closer to the end now. And what's more, I could finally see something. The exit. The green light I was seeing was actually the fire exit sign. The fire escape sign. I thought I was about to make it. I thought I was finally about to make it. I couldn't believe it. I was getting out. I was finally getting out. However, I knew this was no time for delay, so I kept up my running speed at full. I kept up running full speed. Sorry, I'm losing it. And just as I thought I was about to collapse from exhaustion right before the exit, I made it to the top. My hands were badly shaking from the exertion or the cold. I didn't even know anymore. I could barely clasp my fingers around the door handle, and with a huge push with all my might, I forced the door open. It was a heavy metal door, and I really needed to put all my weight in if I wanted to survive. And as I creaked it open, I stepped outside and took one long last look back at my former prison. I finally made it. I actually made it. But apparently, I had come out of a maintenance closet, but I didn't have time to think about it right now. The previously calm air was now cutting into me. It actually hurt a lot. Ooh, sorry. After the shock of the escape finally wore off, I tried to find out where I was, and it definitely was not the school. There was snow on the ground, and I even saw a real sky. As I was going towards an elevator for some shelter from the cold, I looked up and saw a large sign. I was in Slacksville? Slacksville of all places? Sunday. Oh, wow. Things have been wild. Let me start from the beginning. After I left that hell, now the realization I was in Slacksville set in, I quickly realized that I was freezing out here. And after a few minutes, I found a protected bus shelter. And for the first time in days, I finally sat down and rest. It was the best rest in my entire life. After a while of resting, a woman in a large coat approached me. I guess seeing a kid out in the cold with no parents in sight was kinda a bad look. She ended up offering me a jacket, and then took me in her car to the police station. When I got in her car, she introduced herself. "Call me Miss Patterson. You okay, kid? Looked like you were out there for a while." "I'm okay. Thank you so much. You don't know the hell I just went through." She explained that she was going on one of her late night drives and happened upon me, freezing my butt off in the cold. She told me that we were going to the police station and that they could take care of me there. As we drove further to the police station, I looked out the window on the town. The town seemed different than I remembered it. I had gone there not so long ago during a sports tournament, but some things were very different. For one thing, lots of previously torn down houses were fully built.
But maybe I was just misremembering things from my previous chips. I haven't fully recovered from that hell. When we finally arrived at the police station, Miss Patterson explained the situation to the officer on duty. After a few minutes of talking, she beckoned me inside the station, and I sat down in the waiting room. After a few minutes of waiting, an officer finally came out of a side door and asked me to come with him. The officer explained that I had been found alone by a bus stop, and that he needed to know who my parents were. I told him who they were, Susan Heffley and Frank Heffley. After checking his database, he showed me a list of people and asked me if I recognized any of them. After thoroughly checking all of them, I said no. After a few more questions, he asked what my hometown was, I guess in order to narrow down the search. I answered simply, Plainview. He gave me an odd look and said that there was no nearby town for that name. Now, I was getting really confused. What did he mean by that? I told him that it was right next to us, just a few miles away. But again, the officer said that it's not there. I asked him to pull up Google Maps, and I would show him it's real. He obliged, and I scrolled down to where it was. Apparently, even the GPS was having a hard time locating Plainview. I asked him to search for it again, but with no results. Was my hometown missing? Along with everyone there? Dad? Manny? Holly? I tried desperately searching for nearby towns, and those worked fine. I even looked for news stories that I knew had happened in Plainview, but they were all gone, like they never existed at all. Was I having a psychotic break? Was I really going insane? I asked the officer what day it was, in hopes of grounding myself. He looked slightly concerned and replied, December 2nd, 2026. Now things were really ramping up. I asked to collect my phone and to look at something. He agreed, and I opened up a calendar app. And to my amazement, the date still reads November 28th, 2023. I knew it. I wasn't going insane. I wasn't going crazy. I was right. That did happen. I showed him my own date, and he asked why I was 2 years behind. I said this was the correct date and that I never changed it. I decided to look around the small room we were in, and the more I looked, the more unfamiliar things I spotted. So I asked the officer what phone he had, and he replied, Oh, I just have the iPhone 17 Plus. With this, combined with everything else, I knew that was wrong. Was I really going crazy? Was I really in that place for years without knowing it? Did that even happen? Finally, as one last-ditch effort, I asked him to search for Roderick Heffley, and after about a minute of looking, I found who I was looking for. As soon as I saw the images, I quickly shouted out, There! Him! And pointed at Roderick. My Roderick! That's my Roderick! The officer said that he was living here in Slacksville, and that he could call him down to the station. I knew it was Roderick from the picture, but he seemed a lot older than when I last saw him months ago. The officer was on the phone for quite some time, and after a lot of explaining, he hung up and told me that he would be here in about 20 minutes. He told me to go wait in the waiting area and that you'll see him there. And man, those 20 minutes were the longest 20 minutes of my life. I waited there, listening to the typing of keyboards and the rhythmic clicking of the clocks. After what felt like hours, I heard the door open and outside was... Roderick? Is that you? Then he said, It's been a while, Greg. Monday. I could not believe what I was seeing. Roderick was alive and well. Just a little older for some reason. Get in the back, Greg. Come on, we know all day. Excited, I got in the back of his van and we set off. Though, I guess he never really improved his driving skills, since he was just as bad as before he left. Some things never change. But after driving in silence for a few minutes, I finally broke the uncomfortable silence. So, Roderick, where were you all this time, and what have you done with yourself? After a few minutes of contemplation, he finally started talking.
Oh, Greg, fine. I'll tell you everything that happened. Just after I left home, I actually started crying. I really thought of going back, but I decided that it wasn't worth it. After finally leaving town, I came across a wall of fog around Plainview. It was like a wall of clouds, and as soon as I drove through, winds picked up into the dozens. I almost crashed several times, but after a few minutes of driving, I got through, and I came to Slacksville and stopped over for a few days with my bandmates. Decide where to go next. While we were there, we didn't hear anything about Plainview. Almost like nobody noticed what was happening there. And people started talking about it less and less. And eventually people just stopped mentioning it, like they forgot it even existed. So once that happened, I decided to move to Boston for 2 years. I got a job working security and decided to come back on my break for old time's sake. Then, I got a call saying somebody called Greg was looking for me.
Roderick didn't want to explain that over the years, all my mention of Plainview had dropped off soon after he left. Despite the chaos over there, nobody was ever talking about it outside. He even tried to text people who were still in Plainview, but nothing ever got in or out. It was as if Plainview had been separated from the rest of the world completely. After hearing all that, I was pretty shaken up about the whole thing. Was Dad, Manny, and Holly really gone forever? What about Mom? Whatever happened to them? No, calm down. They can still be alive. Maybe they went through what I went through. After everything Roderick had told me sank in, I decided to ask where we were driving to, since we had been driving for quite some time by now. Oh, we're just driving to a friend of mine. Someone who can help us figure everything out. Don't worry, he's trustworthy. He explained that he was in a similar situation to Roderick. While they had only talked online before now, he had tried to leave Plainview a little later than Roderick, and had done similar things that he had. He had tried to leave, but failed the first time, and luckily succeeded the second time. He was connected to a group of doomsday preppers, and they had a lot more resources to escape, unlike most other people, and therefore had seen a lot more than Roderick had. Roderick said we would arrive in about an hour, and that I should just relax right now. I hope he's right, and I hope that everything goes well.